All right, so when I started sending out my pre-listing packet, my conversion went up dramatically. And so if you're not sending out a pre-listing packet before your listing presentation, I believe it's a huge mistake. And so in this video, what I'm gonna break down is like why I send this thing, what's included, when I send it, and really talk about what it's really done for my business, what it's done for the agents that I coach, and what it's done for their business. And I think it's really important that we remember that when we're going to interview to list this, the home of one of our clients, that oftentimes they're making that decision not on what we say, but on how we make them feel. What is their perception of us? And they're making the decision whether or not to hire us based on how they feel. So let me go into my office. I'll break this entire thing down for you. All right, so why bother? Why even go through and build something like this? And I showed this to you guys before, but like, why go through all the hassle of putting this in here with the automatic video that plays, et cetera, and invest in these. I mean, these are probably, I don't know, they're probably $40, $45 a piece. I'm going to walk you through what I put in there in just a second. But why would I do this? Well, homeowners list their property with real estate agents like you and I, not based on what we tell them, not based on what we say to them, but how we make them feel. I cannot stress that enough. This is what I talk to agents that I coach to all the time. It's everyone's looking for the magic script, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, dude, it's not about what you say to them. It's about how you make them feel. And so in order to be perceived better than the competition, you must first be perceived to be different. And so that's why I do this, is I'm going to do things in a way that I know my competitors will not do. I'm trying to build a moat around my business model. A moat, you ask, is something that makes it very difficult for competitors to copy. And so if you look at a business that probably has the biggest moat is Amazon. I mean, think about how hard it is for Amazon's competitors, where you could just pick up a phone, hit a button, buy your favorite thing, and it's at your house the same day. Like, that's pretty difficult to compete with, right? And so when I look at saying, okay, I'm going to set this this appointment with a homeowner who is interviewing agents to decide who and which agent they're going to hire to handle the sale of their home, and then that person potentially becoming not just a client now, but a raving fan in my database, somebody who I could do God knows how many deals with, get God knows how many referrals from over the course of my career. Well, then it's an easy decision to say, well, yeah, I'm going to invest in this appointment. Otherwise, it's like, well, how you do anything is how you do everything. Why are you going on the appointment? Why are you going on the appointment if you're not willing to invest the time, energy, effort, and funds into sending a high quality pre-listing packet? My question for you would be, what is this appointment then? Is it a bullshit appointment that you just forced somebody into meeting with you? Is it a low quality appointment where it's not really a listing appointment, so therefore it's kind of out of context to send them a pre-listing packet? Because if you look at any other industry, the best example of this ever was we recently just redid my roof on my house. And I don't know, a few days before the appointment, we get this package in the mail, and it's like their pre-appointment package. There's different materials in there that we're going to talk about. There was a video in there, et cetera, et cetera. And we were talking to multiple different roofing companies. And you better bet that this set them apart. You better bet that if you send them something like this in the mail, or not in the mail, you hand deliver this a day or two before the appointment, or better yet, the morning of the appointment, that it's going to help to pre-sell the appointment. In other words, there have been many times, and I'll walk you through what I put in this in just a second. There have been many times where I have gone to a listing appointment, and as a result of sending them my pre-listing packet, The decision was already made that I was, in fact, the agent that the seller decided to do business with. Because of all the agents they interviewed, not one of them went to this extent. And so let's talk about what goes in this pre-listing packet. So I showed you guys the actual folder that it goes into, and then here's what's included. So the first thing is I address the seller with a letter, and here's what the letter states. So it says, a small token of appreciation. First, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to meet with me to discuss your future real estate plans and goals. While you owe me nothing, I will ensure that you have great value from the time that we spend together, regardless if we end up working together or not. And so you'll notice that's in all of my language. I'm not concerned whether or not I'm getting the deal or not. My goal is to first provide value, and then as a result of that value, a decision can be made. I don't beg, I don't plead, I'm not needy, I'm not desperate for the business. I'm creating equal business status. At the end of our meeting, you'll have a clear plan as to exactly what it's going to take to have a successful home selling experience. I've included materials in this packet that will help answer some of the questions you may have about me and help us get started when you're ready. Here's what's inside. A short video I made for you, which they'll see as soon as they open it. A copy of my resume, including my marketing plan and how I plan to position your home. A list of similar homes that will act as our competition that we'll discuss. Number 5, worksheets that will highlight why buyers will love your home. Please complete this prior to our meeting. Number 6, tips to present your home in the best possible way to potential buyers. I look forward to seeing you soon and having the opportunity to earn your trust, not your business, because if you're a coaching client of mine, you know that the listing appointment is for you and the seller to decide if doing business together makes sense. You are interviewing the seller as much as the seller is interviewing you. Well, what do you mean by that, Brandon? Well, quickly on that, you're interviewing the seller for motivation and you're interviewing the property for its condition in comparison to the other products on the market. And you're determining as an entrepreneur, is this a saleable product? And do I have somebody that is of high motivation that actually wants to sell? Why? Because the desperate and needy real estate agents, hopefully this is not you, they go there begging and pleading for the listing, and they end up with what they think they want at first to end up later having something that they regret, which is a overpriced listing with an unmotivated seller with a property that has less than stellar condition because they went into it begging and pleading and doing whatever possible to hopefully get the listing. They're so needy and desperate to get it. They discount their commission next to nothing. I'll be at every showing. I'll give you a foot rub every day, et cetera, et cetera. And then they end up getting the damn listing that they don't want from all these unmotivated sellers, the want to be sellers. All right. So that's the letter I include. Then the next thing that I put in here is, and I have sticky notes on everything just to make it easier for the seller, is I have their competition. So when I include this in the packet, I have photos of every active listing that they're going to compete with so that they can review this prior to our meeting, so that when I go to the meeting, I'm going to first recommend that we go and see these properties in the next day or so in person so that they can actually physically feel what the buyer's going to feel when they walk through these properties in comparison to theirs. And if they don't take me up on that, that's fine. They at least have a tangible point of reference to understand, okay, this is what we're going to compete with. So there's all the properties that they're going to compete with, the top 3 or 4, all the photos, all the details about the property, how long those properties have been on the market, et cetera, so they can really see it for themselves. Instead of you going there and fighting them on price, they can see for themselves where the market currently is. Okay, next, I have the seller's homework. Okay, So inside of here, and I've got the seller's name right on there. The first thing that we have is the home highlights. So this is where they're going to highlight all the features of their home. They're going to go through all of their home's upgrades. I'm going to walk them through preparing for photos. I'm going to walk them through tips for showing their property. Here's the best feeling ever. You walk into a listing presentation. These are sitting on the countertop, all filled out and completed. That is the best feeling when you walk into the property. And then lastly, I've got a copy of my resume. All right. So if you're a coaching client, you've got a template to this that you make yours. And so I get these printed at a local print shop. These are like a magazine. Okay. So first we have this nice packet that it comes inside. Then I have a full-blown professional magazine as a representation of my resume, because it all matters. This whole presentation matters. What you do when you from the time you set the appointment to the time you walk into the listing appointment, and everything at that appointment is playing to how that person feels, that will ultimately help them decide whether or not you are the right agent to help represent their property. And so, yes, how you do anything is how you do everything. And so we want our materials and our marketing to reflect our work. It's one thing to tell a seller I do great work. It's another thing to show a seller. Why? Because prospects don't believe you. If you say it, they don't believe you. So instead of telling people, we're going to show people. And I highly encourage you to invest the time, the energy, the resources into creating not just a pre-listing packet, but a pre-listing process such that when you set appointments, the likelihood for you to win that listing goes up dramatically.